You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Monday. It is late. Missouri's got her bunny. Why you hear squeaking maybe. I don't know if the sound will get cleaned up or not. But anyway, Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And I was on the ground in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it was a show. It was a show that was put on by both teams. I think it means a lot that Michigan was able to come away with a win like this. Certainly, you could see the emotion from the team in the aftermath. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible stuff that Michigan was able to come away with a performance as such. And, it wasn't without some controversy, though, so we're going to talk about all of it here as much as we can here on the video. I'm not giving myself very much headroom, but because I decided I want to lean back. Can you hear me out here? I'm yelling. All right. Having fun with the YouTube video. Audio listeners, sorry. Anyway, so obviously Michigan got the 32-29 win. I give full credit to Nebraska for what Nebraska was able to do in this game, because it appeared that the Huskers had figured out just kind of how to gash Michigan. There were some things that certainly shouldn't have counted. I thought the officiating was really bad, and it was really bad for both teams. So when that happens, you kind of have to negate it a bit, right? Michigan certainly got a lot of benefit of doubt at times, and Nebraska, though, Nebraska was doing some things that you could consider cheating, right? The five men in the backfield type situation. That causes confusion, and I saw there was a really good thread from Space Coyote and Stephen Osentoski on Twitter, and just them kind of going back and forth about it. I even though I trust Space Coyote, has got excellent football expertise, I just wonder if there wasn't caused confusion as to what Nebraska was doing with, guy sees a guy in the backfield. All right, well, he's not is this guy a target? Is this guy not a target? Type thing. I think it becomes, it still should have been able to not have that first touchdown happen. But nonetheless, things turned out all right. Nebraska was going to be able to do some things. You held them to a pretty low bar when it came to rushing the football. So I believe it was the third worst output as far as that was concerned of the year. I'm going to double check that because I think that's a good stat to know. Because Michigan did a good job defensively is all I'm saying. Especially, they finally passed the test. Now, first half obviously was awesome. Holding them to no points, but then just the way things went in the second half with again, that situation, the Cade McNamara interception that shouldn't have counted because it was a false start. I think he probably saw the guy jump off sides, and that's why he kind of took the risk with the football that he normally wouldn't take. I didn't even see that there was someone who jumped off sides in the second one. All I had to see, because I was standing, the way my vantage point was, I was on the sidelines back on the 10-yard line or so, but I think it was more like the 5 with Michigan coming towards me. I just saw the fact that he threw into triple coverage and it was intercepted, and guy next to me is like, what is he doing? And I'm like, clearly someone jumped off sides. And sure enough, that's what happened. Because that's the type of quarterback Cade McNamara is. And I feel like Michigan fans do not give him the credit that he deserves. And I know there's a lot of Michigan fans that are not happy right now with the fact that Cade McNamara is the quarterback. They want J.J. McCarthy. I want to remind you now, I'm not saying what you probably are going to misconstrue this as, but remember all the Michigan fans that really wanted Drew Henson over Tom Brady and what Tom Brady ended up being? So let's keep that in mind when you're calling for Cade McNamara's head, because here's the thing about Cade McNamara. He is doing everything that Michigan wants him to do. If J.J. McCarthy was to come in, chances are he would be doing exactly... He might look a little bit more dynamic, but it's not like J.J. McCarthy's going to come in and they're going to start slinging it everywhere. Not this year. Maybe in future years. Hopefully in future years. But that's not the case. All right. So Michigan held Nebraska to its fourth lowest output of the year. 1 yard more than Michigan State. As far as running the football, rush yards, it was the second lowest. They only managed 95 yards against Oklahoma, whose defense intermittently steps up and doesn't under Alex Grinch. Obviously, you saw what happened with Texas and Oklahoma. But Michigan allowed 140 rush yards. So, anyway, yards per play, you'd like that a bit better, 7.18. Michigan State held them to 5. Illinois held them to 5.5. Fordham held them to 6.6. Oklahoma held them to 6.1. So that was a higher number, like Northwestern and Buffalo. So, but hey, it's a bend don't break defense. The defense broke often in the second half. You know what you've got to clean up? It's things that you haven't seen all year. You hope that you can figure those things out. Nonetheless, good job on the defense for getting stops when it needed to. The Brad Hawkins fumble, which Adrian Martinez, I just saw this thanks to my roommate. Adrian Martinez out there saying, play was done. Yeah, no, play was over. Shouldn't have counted. Didn't quite say it like that, but he took accountability in the sense of like, I feel awful. I can't cost my teammates like that. But at the same time, I feel like the play was over. And he's like, I was just standing there like I'm standing here now. I went back and watched that play on TV right afterwards. Actually, on Twitter, but the video, which I had never seen. And it's like, yeah, you weren't just standing there. You were fighting for extra yards. You were just standing there. What would happen if you were able to break through? Would go for a touchdown and be like, yeah, I got the touchdown, but let's be honest, I thought the play was over. So, yeah, no. That's what happened. The play was over when things were bad, and I just kept fighting when the play was good. So, anyhow, that's going to do it for that. Let's continue on. But before we do, all right, college football fans, have you heard about PrizePicks? PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this. I know you will too. PrizePicks is a leader in college sports daily fantasy. PrizePicks offers more college football props than anyone in the world and offers the star players of the Power 5 as well as the mid-major players you might not have ever even heard of. PrizePicks offers any prop you can think of, from yardage to touchdowns, even interceptions thrown. Anyone who deposits and uses the promo code LOCKDOWN will receive a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100. You can go and pick 2 and 5 players, use an over-under on projections, and win up to 10 times on any entry. It's just you versus the projected numbers. PrizePicks allows mixed sport entries. That means you can take the over on LeBron combined with the under on Mahomes in the same entry. Use the award-winning app that you can find on both the Apple App Store as well as Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks is safe and it offers fast withdrawal, so don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com, use the promo code LOCKEDON, or go to the App Store and download it today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. All right. A little less headroom for those watching. Not. Again, check out the video. See how tired I look. Travel takes it out of me. For those who are wondering, so probably none of you, I flew great on the way there, right? Like my fear of flying is not a fear of like the actual, like of the plane going down or anything like that. My fear of flying is born because I'm afraid of having a panic attack on the plane. that I'm not going to be comfortable on the plane. And then, so sometimes I have a panic attack on the plane. And because of great things like Ted Lasso and honestly, Ryan Day's, I only caught part of it, this Game Day special about the stigma of mental health. That I've never felt uncomfortable telling anyone I have panic attacks on planes. But yeah, flight there was awesome, partially probably because I watched Ted Lasso and The Morning Show, and flight back, no, that went bad. That went really bad. All started when I was in the morning after my 21st birthday, morning after, I flew to Los Angeles from Michigan. That was not smart. Somewhere over the Grand Canyon, all of that alcohol ingested, hit me like a 2-ton heavy thing. So takes it a lot out of me. That's why we're doing the Monday podcast at night this week. Sometimes I try to get it in before the Harbaugh press conference, but no, that wasn't going to happen. It's been a lot of sleep and stuff like that, but part of that was also the late night game atmosphere, and that was all a perfect segue into this is exactly the type of game that Michigan has not looked good in. And with that first drive from Nebraska, certainly with that first big play, and I know none of these guys, well, Brad Hawkins was a part of this team, but aside from that on defense, none of the other guys were a part of this. It harkened back to me, Nebraska hitting like that first big play way down the field, made me think of, even though it wasn't a touchdown in this case on Saturday, Saquon Barkley in the whiteout. Because I went into that Penn State game feeling like in 2017 that Michigan was the better team. And it didn't turn out that way. And particularly, I thought, like, okay, Michigan's at least better on defense. Michigan should be able to stop them, right? Saquon Barkley had done nothing to Michigan to that point. It was the third time. It was kind of like Jonathan Taylor. Had done nothing until 2019 and then runs like crazy. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be really good. And then you see that first big play and it's like, oh no, Michigan might be in trouble. That might not be good. And then Michigan's defense stands tall. So for a half, and then, things kind of, it did feel like they constantly say, we didn't flinch. It's clearly been a thing that's been a talking point, right? Because it's not like just one person said it, and Braden McGregor said today that he felt like it came from Jim Harbaugh, that Harbaugh said, you didn't flinch in one of the games. And now they always say, we didn't flinch. Anyhow, so my point being, that's the type of game where, they maybe they started to flinch for a second there in the second half, and then they really didn't, right? Like they had faith in each other. That's the type of game that Michigan loses. And let me tell you, if you weren't there at the game, and now I understand it's a night game. I've never been to Camp Randall for a night game. Most of the Penn State games I've been to have been night games. I've been there for a day game. Night is certainly a different situation. It was not nearly as raucous in my memory going to Penn State in 2015 as it was in 2017 or 19. But I mean, that was a real good atmosphere at Memorial Stadium. That was real intense. It took a minute to get that way, but it wasn't. It's way above. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my ranking the stadiums by atmosphere. I put Nebraska way ahead of Camp Randall. Way ahead of it. That was an intense environment. It was very loud for most of the game. It was very cool. I'm already looking forward to going back there. It was a good time. Real daunting environment. Real cool stadium. Those are the types of things usually when I feel like I'm getting to go on a field trip that Michigan does not come out on top. Michigan usually does find a way to lose those types of games. And it was Nebraska that found a way to lose. And I texted Jake when things were kind of awry, Michigan down 3. And he says, there have been some of the times this year where Jake's been like, I'm not so confident that this is going to go well. When in certain situations, I believe Rutgers, both of us were a little bit leery, and then something changed for Jake, and he was like, yeah, no, I think I have that right. Jake, if you're listening and I don't have that right, screenshot it and send it to me. But against, there was never a point for him where he felt like Michigan was going to lose to Nebraska. I had that feeling for a split second until there was just that moment. It wasn't the Brad Hawkins moment, because the Brad Hawkins moment I actually kind of forecasted. I said about 2 plays before, when Nebraska hasn't made its giant costly mistake yet. There it was. But standing tall, I think the just as important as the Brad Hawkins forced fumble that Adrian Martinez says shouldn't have happened, I think was the just as big was the end of game stand, right? Having that situation with them at midfield, all they needed is a field goal. Granted, their field goal kicker is awful. It's 5 for 10. Their special teams had stepped up in a big way all game, right? Like, this is the worst special teams unit in the country. What does Nebraska decide it's going to go do? It's going to go and play an awesome special teams game, right? Not allow any returns after they generally are like, right this way. Red carpet for you down the middle of the field, sir. Well, here you go. Didn't quite go that way. But I think that stand at midfield was incredible. Good on them for being able to, the defense for being able to stall Nebraska. Good on the team for having that resolve. And let's give some huge credit to the offense, because in the second half, it was unstoppable. Cade said after the game, and I completely agree, he said, really the only one stopping us was ourselves. I actually 100% agree with that. I think people are jumping on Cade a little too much for certain throws here and there. Nebraska was getting some decent pressure here and there. Obviously, he was sacked for the first time all year. But and keeping in mind, for all the people that want to say, like, oh, Cade, all right, like, Michigan needs to do something different. Cade, you're just terrible. Like, keeping in mind that all the people saying that couldn't do literally anything Cade does, except for, maybe they're humans. That's all you have in common with Cade McNamara. Nonetheless, I'm not saying Cade is the greatest in the world. I'm not even putting him in the same category as maybe some others that I am a vehement defender of. But I think that he's doing everything Michigan wants. But so, like, whether it's Cade missing on some throws or some other things, he hit Dalen Baldwin in the hands so many times. Dalen after the game he was the only player I saw that looked like it was a big loss for Michigan. So I feel bad for him, right? But the only thing that really stopped Michigan was Michigan. The play calling at one point, the one drive, they just drop, they run the ball and Nebraska can't stop it. They're getting 7 yards or so a carry on the one drive, and then the next drive, Michigan throws it 3 times. To me, that was getting cute. I understand, like, oh, now they're expecting the throw or the run, and now let's throw it. I see I'm all backwards, but I would like to see, hey, just kind of like against Washington. Can't stop the run. Okay, we're just going to keep running it, because they couldn't at one point. Even though Michigan threw for more than they ran, they couldn't stop the run. So looking at Michigan's stats, they ran the ball for 204 yards against Nebraska and threw it for 255. I want to see if I can find, if I still have it up. I probably do not. Someone had asked me last week in the podcast what what were the chances that Michigan would throw for 300 or run for 250, and, what do you think about that? It doesn't look like I think I deleted all the podcast questions from last week, so I don't have it anymore. So whoever asked me that, and I said, I think the throw probably more than run. The fact of the matter is, pretty good call, because I think that they could have thrown for 300 and run for 200. They were on the way there. 459 yards of total offense. That's the most that Michigan's had all year. Nope, sorry. That's the most Nebraska's given up all year. I was going to say. Second most yards per play, 5.67. Oklahoma is the only one that had more. They didn't have as many yards, but Oklahoma had 5.9. So Michigan's offense can do some things, right? And Pro Football Focus had it as, I think, the number 8th offense in the country still. So let's see. Offense. Number 3. The number 3 rated offense in the country in the Big Ten. Okay, that's not the country, but it's the Big Ten. Behind some others. But I'm going to check one more thing, and then we're going to move on. In the FBS, I don't think that did it. Okay, maybe it did. All right, 23rd offense. So 3rd in the Big Ten, 23rd offense in the country. Number 5 defense in the country. And special teams is number 26. So you're doing pretty good. Passing. I don't know why I'm doing this. 31. I'm just rambling at this point. Number 3 running offense. Okay, that's it. We're done with that. Let's move on. I'll give my final thoughts on the game here momentarily. See, this is what happens when I don't sleep for like a day and then I sleep for like a whole day. It's just a lot of loopiness. All right, but before we move on, I got to tell you a little something about Built Bar. Y'all know how much I love Built Bar. If you don't know what Built Bar is, it's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. I tend to be a glutton with it and have 2 at a time. But the good thing about that is you can do it because with it being high protein, low calorie, low carb, everything that you want, I can have 2 of them and it's still less calories, more protein than going out and getting a Metrics Big 100, which used to be my go-to. And you know what? As delicious as I think that some of those Metrics bars are, these are 10 times more delicious. Peanut butter brownie is just stupid good. It's unbelievable. And here's the thing is I've tried a lot of these flavors because I've put my money where my mouth is and I've bought the boxes on my own. This isn't just something where they're sending it to me and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm much like our other, one of our other sponsors in Home Field Apparel. I am a believer. I'm a consumer. I am telling you as someone, if you DM me and ask me about it, I will tell you exactly what flavors I like. I will tell you everything about Built Bar, why I like it, and chances are, and this is something I learned when I worked at United Talent Agency about agenting. Agenting is asking someone for something and having them thank you for it. Maybe I'm giving you the secret here, but you will thank me if you go out and get Built Bar because you'll try it. You'll be like, this is incredible. And it's cheaper than going out and getting a bunch of these other protein bars. So don't delay. Go to built.com, put in promo code LOCKED15, get 15% off of your next order of Built Bar. Built.com, promo code LOCKED15. All right, my apologies to the YouTube viewers because chances are this is not being released until Tuesday. I just looked at the time. It's like 8 p.m. Audio people, yeah, you're going to get it sooner. YouTube people, no, it takes like 3 hours per episode, if not more longer, to get these up. Such is the case. Maybe we'll make it a little bit lower. So here's the thing. Where do I think Michigan is now after this? What I think is, I look at the rest of the games. It's kind of perfect schedule. I've said that before. It's easy, hard, easy, hard, easy, hard. Essentially. I think Michigan's a 10-2 team. You're not going to like the 2 losses I think Michigan's going to have. Michigan State, I think, unfortunately, is playing incredible right now, and I think it's balanced enough to give Michigan issues. I know Penn State balanced as well, but Penn State, I think, is gettable. And I think it's going to be a situation with Michigan State in particular that I just think I just don't have a good feeling about that game. Ohio State, I would have had a great feeling if that was 3 weeks ago. That game was 3 weeks ago. I think Michigan would have taken them down. The offense is number 1 in the country. Defense is suddenly playing like a good defense. That's the trouble. But I think obviously Michigan wins the other 3 handily in Northwestern, Indiana, and Maryland. Maryland, what a fraud, right? I mean, like every year, I guess, but they have no defense, and then the offense can't even show up against Ohio State. So, is what it is. Really would like to see what happens though on October 30th. At least it's probably going to be 2 7-0 teams going up against each other in East Lansing. At least Michigan, they can win in a big environment on the road. This will, in my opinion, and I know this will draw the ire of any Michigan State person, out of the 3 road games that Michigan will have played to that point, that will be the easiest as far as crowd factor. So, they hate Michigan more than any of the other 2, but it will not be as daunting of as an environment. Granted, also keep in mind that there are very few players that played in that game in 2018, so maybe it will play a factor. But if Michigan can go in and play in what they played in the night game at Nebraska, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue playing at Spartan Stadium. I have not been impressed. Not that I haven't been it's like Camp Randall to me, right? In the sense of I expected maybe something higher, more. Didn't feel like a daunting environment to me. Camp Randall has never felt like that to me. So Penn State, different story. That is going to be a daunting environment, but at least now Michigan can handle it. So I think this is a 10-2 year, kind of, unless what needs to change is just hitting more big plays, being more consistent, being able to run, because even though it went really well against Nebraska, particularly in the second half, I want to see them hovering around that 200-yard per game range more. The offense still, as good as it's been, it still feels a little like the field's a little too big. That's how I think of it. As when I went, was at the Ohio State game in 2018. Even though Michigan scored 39 points, it just felt like that field was too big. It felt like it was double the size of what it normally is. Sometimes the offense this year has that same feeling, but it feels like they're starting to feel it. It's going to be good that they have the bye week. Self-scout, as Jim Harbaugh said, and then you got Northwestern. That should be the easiest game of the entire season. That should be even easier than NIU, in my opinion. And then you get to figure out what Michigan State is. And maybe I'm building up Michigan State too much because, hey, they really beat Rutgers. Well, Michigan was on the way to doing to Rutgers exactly what Michigan State did. The other common opponent, Nebraska, Nebraska was at Michigan State and went to overtime. So it's kind of a wash, right? Because Michigan State goes to Rutgers and plays Rutgers tougher, just like Michigan goes to Nebraska and plays Nebraska tougher. So it is what it is. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. No, we're not going to do Pro Football Focus tomorrow. I'm going to have them on Wednesday, and then we'll go from there. So anyway, thank you for watching and or listening. We will talk to you soon. Peace.